There's a unique magic that settles in with the start of the season, a gentle shift in the air that sparks a warm, anticipatory glow. It's time of renewed hope and a palpable buzz that electrifies the whole city. Yellow and black decorations adorn buildings, new chants are created in warm pubs. Parents remind their children that impossible is just an opinion. The promise of packed stadiums, roaring crowds, and breathtaking goals hang in the balance, creating a sense of collective excitement. From the thrill of opening day to the long, winding road to the playoffs, the anticipation of the unknown is a delicious tension and a reminder of the beautiful unpredictability of our beautiful game. Merry Crewsmas, everyone, and welcome to the Soccer Crew podcast. That's right, everyone. MLS is back, and I am pumped. I have been waiting all winter season for this. I am so excited for the games to be back on every Saturday. I know what I'm doing for at least the next almost entire year on Saturday nights, watching MLS soccer, specifically the Columbus Crew. But as soon as those games are done, turning on MLS 360 and checking the rest of the games. Unbelievably excited for all of this. So, yeah, and I hope you're excited too. I'm so excited for soccer to be back happening in the United States. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be a great season. I'm so excited for it. But let's go ahead and get into the weekly catch-up to see what all is going along around the Columbus Crew. And yeah, like I said, happy Crewsmas, Merry Crewsmas. It is Crewsmas week, Black and Gold week for the Columbus Crew. If you don't know what Crewsmas is, this is the yearly celebration that goes on along the Crew's first game of the year. And this week, since it is the 30th year that the Crew has been in the league of MLS, they are making a big deal out of this and having multiple different things going on around the city of Columbus. For instance, Columbus is going to be painted black and gold throughout the week along the shore north and the arena district, and then each night it will be illuminated in gold in anticipation of the season's first match. So if you get a chance this week, if you haven't, drive around Columbus at night just to go see all of the decorations, go around during the day to go see all of that. And they've got a couple other special events going on. They have the Columbus Recreation and Parks Departments are participating in a mini TIFO contest. You can find those on columbuscrew.com to find out where those are at. You can see them in real life, and then you can even go vote online to decide which one is the best. I've looked at a couple myself. There are a couple pretty good ones, so I'd recommend checking those out and voting for which ones you think are the best. I believe the group that created the best one gets the most votes, gets some crew tickets to a couple of the games, and that sort of thing. And then finally, they're also hosting a Columbus Crew scavenger hunt across the city this week. So it has already started. It continues in through Friday. So if you haven't had a chance to, go check out the Crew's Instagram story. You can find out what the specific locations are. There will be a Crew representative there, and they'll be handing out goodies and even, I believe, a chance to win tickets and a jersey. If you happen to be one of the lucky few who get some of those extra big prizes. But everyone, I believe, is going to get some sort of small little prize from them. So check that out if you haven't. It's been a fun week so far. And yeah, if you're just now hearing about this, go to Columbus. Go find some cool stuff around the city. Awesome. So on to the next part of the news. We've got a multi-year contract for Patrick Schulte. So this is a contract extension from his contract he already has currently. It goes through 2027 with an option for 2028. Almost certainly will be picked up for 2028 unless Patrick Schulte happens to be sold in the final couple years. Just a couple stats on Patrick Schulte. He's made, it looks like, 77 appearances across all competitions for Columbus now since the beginning of 2023, and he has kept 20 clean sheets. And last season, he was named a finalist for the MLS Goalkeeper of the Year and even won CONCACAF Champions Cup Best Goalkeeper. And a quick reminder of where he came from: he was actually in MLS Next Pro for the Crew 2 and helped them win the inaugural league title in 2022. Where the Crew had picked him 12th overall in the Super Draft, where he had come from St. Louis University. And then, including his time at the Crew, he has made 4 starts for the 2024 Summer Olympics with the U.S. Men's Olympic team, and then 3 starts with the U.S. Men's National team. This is great news for the Crew to be picking him back up. There was a worry that this would be the offseason that he might get sold over to Europe. There were quite a few teams that were interested in looking at him, including the big one. Arsenal was looking at Patrick Schulte. And usually, if a team of that size is looking for a guy, they tend to get their guy. But they didn't make the move, so Patrick re-signs with the Crew and will be here for the foreseeable future, which is fantastic for the Crew because he is quite a very good goalkeeper. He has come a long way since he first started with Crew 2, and even since he first started playing for the Crew in 2023. So great for the Crew, great for him to be back around and playing. And I think it's actually be great for his international career because at the moment there's a bit of a question mark on who's going to be the starting goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team. I believe Patrick Schulte, that door for him is completely wide open. Some of the other names that are being thrown around just can't seem to even start on some of their teams that they're on currently, and you don't really want a goalkeeper who is out of practice. If Patrick Schulte continues to be with the Crew, continues to perform as well as he has, and continues to keep that practice, I think the door is open for him to play at the certainly I believe the Gold Cup is this summer, and even the World Cup. I think that is a solid goal for him to reach. So great for him, great for the Crew, and yeah, just overall good thing. So. And then on to the next thing. Unfortunately, I don't have any more good news for incoming transfers for the used Crew fans who are waiting eagerly to see who exactly Issa Tall is going to bring in to replace Cucho, Christian Ramirez, and as well as bolster some of the other thin spots on the Crew team. We all know that the forward spot is relatively thin currently, not a ton of players. I think I even showed last week, currently the Crew have more goalkeepers than registered forwards, or at least forward people who are designated forwards on the team. A bit of a crazy stat that, but so yeah, still no incoming transfers yet this week, although I will remind you the window closes in April, not at the beginning of the season, so don't feel like it's panic time at the moment. They still have a couple of months to get in their guys that they want. And as well as if you're getting nervous because you're not hearing any rumors, the Crew are known for not leaking any of their transfer plans. They tend to be very tight-lipped, whereas some of these other teams are kind of like letting these things fly to, I don't know, generate publicity or that sort of thing. I don't know exactly the reason they do that. The Crew are not known to do that. They keep everything very tight to the vest. So don't be super worried just because you haven't heard anything, and don't be super worried because the season's starting and they haven't done anything yet. They still have some time in the transfer window to make their moves, although we would love to get them as soon as possible, especially if they're an international player, because I believe getting a green card in the U.S. takes somewhere between 30 to 60 days, so they will be wanting to do that sooner rather than later to get them in and get them training with the Crew as soon as possible. And speaking of next season, or of this season, get a bit of a season preview for you. It is the 3rd year under Wilfried Nancy, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the progression that Wilfried Nancy has been taking the Crew. Started off with his first year in 2023 of really getting the team to play his attacking style. It was all attack. If you remember, the Crew were scoring goals like crazy. They were scoring fantastic, beautiful goals, team goals, individual brilliance goals. I believe, I can't remember if it was 2023 or 2024, but they essentially set the record for most goals in a season, a club record, not overall in MLS, but a club record. of most goals in a season, and that was under Wilfried Nancy's way of he wanted them to be playing. And then in the second year, he really focused on the defending, because you remember in that first year, it was kind of let's attack and screw the defending. Who cares if they score goals? If we score more goals, we'll still win. It's not exactly what he wanted them to do, but it's kind of sometimes it felt like that way. And the games were definitely very entertaining, but very hard to win. Win trophies that way, though they did win MLS Cup that way. So they had, we're kind of figuring it out by the end of 2023. But in 2024, the Crew were one of the best defenses in the league last season. So the progression has kind of been like that. And now I'm interested to see where he goes this year, because the majority of the defense from last year is still there and is still around. So I would expect that they're going to continue getting better, working together, still be as good as last year. So defending-wise, I think the Crew are in very good shape. So I wonder if he's going to go back to, I don't want to say go back to the drawing board, but just kind of add some more touches, add some more wrinkles into the type of attacking play he wants to see, especially with building in some of the younger players they've got on the team to take up some of the slack in the attacking part of the field, especially after Cucho and Ramirez are gone. So yeah, I think that's where he's going to go, but I don't know for sure on that, but exciting to see kind of what he will do in this third year of coaching, what that progression is going to look like. Because so far it's been all up for the Crew. And then continuing on with the preview, I've got a couple, for those of you who really like getting into betting, I've got a couple over-unders that I've thought about in terms of the Crew in placement and trophies. So talking about just the Eastern Conference, I've kind of set the over-under for 2.5 in terms of placement in the Eastern Conference. For that, I think I'm going to hit the under on that one. I believe that they're going to end up finishing third in the conference. I just think that at the start of the season, they've lost a bit too much firepower up front. I think the defense is, like I said, is going to be still fantastic, still one of the best in the league. But I believe that in terms of attacking power, it's just going to let them down a little bit. That they're not going to maybe win games that they might not. They shouldn't. They're not going to have enough game-changing moments to kind of squeak out some very hard-fought games. So I think they're going to end up behind, specifically, I'm going to go out on a limb here, I think they're going to end up behind Cincinnati and Charlotte in the Eastern Conference. I believe Miami is going to regress this year. They outperformed basically every metric that was showing that they were this way. They were outperforming that metric by leaps and bounds. I think they're going to regress to the mean this year and drop well below what everyone thinks how good they are. And then I've got Atlanta kind of running out the top 5 in the Eastern Conference. And then for the Supporters Shield, so this is going to include the Western Conference. Saw the over/under at 5.5. For finishing the Supporters Shield. And again, I think I'm going to hit the under on that one as well. I believe they're going to finish 6th, and this is kind of what I've got set up as my Supporters Shield rankings for this year. I think LAFC is going to get it this year. They look still pretty strong. It was a tight one between LAFC and Seattle, because Seattle at this moment has an absolute ton of depth on their team. They look like a team built to win the Supporters Shield. However, if you remember, Seattle is going to be playing in the Club World Cup, and that is going to take a little bit of legs out. So they might have the depth, but I think LAFC is going to squeak it out over top of Seattle. And then, of course, I'm going to round it out with Cincinnati after that, LA Galaxy, and then Charlotte, which I've already had. I think Charlotte's going to surprise people this year. They were very, very good defensively. I think they were actually... I think they were number 2 in terms of defensive teams in the MLS last year, and they have only increased how well attacking-wise, how good they are attacking-wise this year, bringing in Wilfried Zaha. I think Charlotte's going to be very, very good. I think their defense is going to carry them a long way, and now they've got some real game changers in the attacking side of the game. So that's where my Supporter Shield ranking at. And then the final one I've got is an over-under for 1/2 of a trophy this season. And as you might remember, the Crew are up for 4 trophies this year. Technically, could be 5 if you count Crew 2 going into the U.S. Open Cup. But if you're not counting that, because it is technically a separate team in terms of how U.S. Soccer wants to count it. So we'll go up. They are up for 4, and I have it set at 1/2 trophy. And I'm going to go for the over on this one. I think they are going to win either MLS Cup or Leagues Cup again. I don't believe that CCC and the Supporters Shield are in reach. I think they just, at the moment, don't have enough players. I think they only have 26 or 27 on the roster currently. So I just don't think they've got enough depth to play like last year. 51 games or more to try to win both CCC and the Shield. I just don't think it's going to happen. However, I still believe MLS Cup and Leagues Cups are in the running. I would expect them to win one or the other, especially once they get those reinforcements this transfer window and next transfer window. All right, so speaking of the season, the next game, or the first game, is this weekend. Saturday, Columbus versus Chicago in Columbus. Starts at 7:30 Eastern Time. Kickoff is at 7:45, and you can watch this on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV+. I am so excited for this game. The season is back. Let's go. So, with this game, it is the return of head coach Greg Berhalter. Some of you might remember he is the former Crew head coach from 2013 to 2018, and this was during the Save the Crew movement. Shortly after that, he moved to coach to the U.S. men's national team. And so this will be a return. And then after U.S. men's national team, he was recently... Was he let go? I think he actually was after a disappointing couple of games for the U.S. men's national team. Ended up returning back to MLS and is now coaching the Chicago Fire. And so if some of you are seeing, the Crew are going to play the Chicago, they're just going to smack them like they have recently, I would not, I don't think... you should be expecting that currently. This is not going to be the Chicago teams of recent years who just kind of give up sloppy goals, stop paying attention at the back post, that sort of thing. I think Greg is going to be drilling these players into very structured positional play. That's what he's always been very, very good at. And he's been very, very good at taking teams that were not exactly... have a bunch of game changers and huge individual play, but he makes them a very cohesive unit, especially with, like I said, his positional play that he likes to play with. It's going to be very, very, very structured, very hard to break down. Now, that also comes with a cost of very, very structured attack, very, very predictable attack. So I wouldn't expect Chicago to be scoring quite a lot of goals on the Crew. And I also won't be surprised if Chicago just go commit to defense first. It's the first game of the season. It's a new coach, new system they're all playing in, and of course they have to play the Crew as the first game of the season. I would expect they're going to lock down that defense first. Greg is going to get that situated for them, and then after that they'll be like, if we can find a goal here or there off of a set piece or a mistake or something like that, we'll take it. But I think they're going to be committing defense first. So I don't know how many goals the Crew are going to be able to score, especially now that they've again lost Cucho, lost Ramirez. We'll see how that works. But my projected starting lineup for this, I think Patrick Schulte is going to be in goal, no doubt about that. And again, congrats to him to a new contract signed with the Crew. In terms of our backline three, I'm going to keep it as the same 3-4-3 that Wilfred Nancy has always kind of had the Crew playing with. I don't think he's going to change it now, though who knows? He might have come up with something crazy in the offseason with kind of the changes they've gone through. But I'm keeping it with the 3-4-3. So the 3 center backs, I've got Moreira, Camacho, Admonson. Nothing crazy there. I think the only thing wrinkle that might get thrown in there is having Shabirko instead of Admonson. Could be. They're very, very similar players. And then in terms of 2 wingers, I've got Mo Farsi and Max Arston. I think they're going to continue their rise in just able to be on the ball, their attacking presence, and just how well they play with the Crew. Our two center mids, we've got Nagbe and Zawadzki. I think they're going to be a mainstay for the Crew all year. Then for the forwards, I've got Rossi, Russell Rowe, and this one, the last one's kind of the question mark of who's going to get the starting spot. I think it's going to be Shambost for now. He tended to be first guy off the bench in for the Crew. I think there might be a question mark between him or AZ Jackson. But I think Shambost will get the start for now, and then I would expect to see AZ coming off the bench, and maybe even some of those the younger guys coming in later in the game. In terms of betting lines, they like the money line likes the Crew. We got a negative 240 or minus 240 for the Crew win, and then for a tie we've got plus 400 and Chicago win plus 500. So yeah, the bettors, the money line likes the Crew, and the most likely score is a 2-0, followed closely behind by a 2-1. Both of them again for the Crew, and that sounds probably about right. I think maybe even a 1-0 might be relatively lucky for the Crew, or likely for the Crew, not lucky. So we'll see how things go. I'm very excited to see what happens. Very excited to see what Wilfried Nancy has cooked up this offseason. To see all the players again playing. Ready for a great season. Ready for everything to happen. So yeah, very very excited for this. And yeah, I think that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all for joining in. This has been the Soccer Crew podcast. We'll see you next week.